I'm Edie Evans Hyde, and I am the founder and executive director of Ebony Road Players, which is a theater company here in Grand Rapids, a Black theater company, actually. And what we are doing with, and Kiana will get more into the whole Visionary Academy thing, but our mission basically is to inspire, educate, and engage the communities of our Black community and our community in general on Black theater. And we've been in existence since about 2013. So we're kind of growing this company and growing our talent and growing our artists and our directors and our designers and things like that to make us a very a potent arts community in Grand Rapids. So that's what we're looking for. But this Visionary Academy kind of came out of that dream to do that. And we brought a lot of artists together from all over the country, really, to give you guys a little bit of what they do and the fact that they can actually make an income doing what they do and enjoy what they do by being an artist, by making a social statements in their communities as well. My personal goal with Ebony Road Players and Visionary Academy is to bring you guys in to help us be better at what we do. And we also want you all to know that what is in your heart and in your dreams in the arts world, you can do. That's the big thing. And I'm just really excited to have Visionary Academy going. This is our second year. Kiana will explain all that to you as well. And we had a nice big group of people sign up, and we hope that we can get everyone through it. And you guys, last year was just total exciting, just to meet all these people from all over the country who came and spoke to folks. So yeah, my vision is to have you all involved in what we're doing, and so we can grow. Did I miss anything, Kiana?
Can you just give a brief history on Ebony Road Players?
Yes.
And where the idea came from?
Sure. So I am a singer and I'm an actor, and I've been doing it for a long time. I won't say how long, but this came out of a Black theater that was here in Grand Rapids started in the late 70s and went until about the 90s when the founder died. It was called Robeson Players, and it was specifically for Black artists. The other theater companies during that time were not really reaching out to the Black community. Somehow I slid in and ended up doing a whole bunch of stuff for those other theater companies. But Robeson Players was how I started. I would have never known that I would enjoy theater or even would be considered to be in theater, except for a guy named Cedric Ward, who was the founder of Robeson Players. When he died and the theater company went with it, there had not been anything in this community for, I'm thinking, 20, 30 years. And I realized that there had been a lot of stuff in our communities that were not being addressed. And one of them is being able to grow and create artists in a theatrical sense. We have it kind of in a music sense, but not in a theatrical sense. So one day I decided to pull a bunch of actors together that I have been with in the past, and we created Ebony Road Players to kind of fill that niche in West Michigan that has not been fulfilled. And to be honest, all of the other theater companies in town now have benefited from that, because now they know that there are Black artists here. They know that there are people who want to do this type of work. And so that has kind of benefited the whole community. But for me, I want to continue to grow the Black community in theater. And that's pretty much where we started. I knew nothing. I had no idea what I was doing, and just got all my friends together and we just did it. So having said that, I'm just so happy that you guys are joining us and and hope you get something out of it, and hope that you will be there to help us do our next shows.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're very welcome. And if anyone, I'm going to leave you time for some questions for me personally, if you need anything. But then I'm actually going off to direct a small show that we're doing this evening.
You guys have any questions for Edie? Any questions in general? It's early. If there are, I will bring them back. And Edie will be back with us. Today's just a special day. There was a lot on the schedule for today. So Edie, I will let you go, and then we will keep it rolling.
Well, do this. What time is it?
It's 10:11.
10:11. Can I just hear everyone's name and just a quick bio? I want to hear from everyone. Just
absolutely,
tell me
absolutely
who you are and why you're here.
Absolutely. So yeah, go ahead. You guys can introduce yourselves. Tell us where you're from. That's a big piece. And then also, why are you here? What would you like to get out of Visionary Academy in general?
I'm gonna start with Jonathan because I know.
I was gonna say ladies first, but can you guys hear me okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, cool. I'm Jonathan Selman. I'm from Grand Rapids, Michigan. I currently live in Portage, but like I'm always back and forth between the area. Some other stuff. I'm 27. I've always like been interested in the arts and stuff too, so I've just been like an open vessel. So everything that you've kind of described is everything that I'm kind of interested in. So I'm just here to kind of absorb everything and just take it on. So
sounds great. Thank you, Jonathan.
I'll go next. Hi, everybody. My name is Khadijah Brown. I am a native of Benton Harbor, Michigan, currently residing in Grand Rapids, Michigan since May. I've been heavily in theater since 2015, starting in Kalamazoo with your favorite Black theater in Kalamazoo called Face Off Theater. That's where I got my start. And then, so I'm here at Visionary Academy because I want to get to know like where's the Black scene in theater here in Grand Rapids. So building that community, and then also being more confident and bold in like the production side of it. I'm not 100% done with acting, but I know I definitely want to like shift gears and be in more production for children's theater than me being on stage. I think when I do get back into acting, I want it to be TV, film. Yeah, so that's it.
Thank you, Khadijah.
Awesome. Sierra?
I was about to say, I'll go next. My name is Sierra Hatfield. I'm originally from Harlan County, Kentucky. But now I've been in Grand Rapids for about 2 years now. And my theater journey started like around 2008, like with some community theater in my hometown. When I was in college, I joined a circus that I was a part of for about 5-6 years. So now I teach. I don't really perform anymore, but I will teach aerial silk. And I am here because there's no aerial theater in Grand Rapids either, which is a real shame because there's like 2 or 3 different studios. So I'm here to kind of get that logistical background, production sense, and then my mentality is kind of like, if no one else is going to do it, I might as well. So maybe one day.
That's exactly it.
Wonderful. That. Thank you, Sierra. Demita, are you on?
I'm on the system. Bounce me out again. That's okay. I'm just going to come right back in.
All right. So right now, we're just going through introductions. Tell us who you are, where you're from, and why you're here in Visionary Academy. What do you hope to gain?
Well, my name is Demita Sayer. I was born in Chicago, grew up in Grand Rapids, lived in New York for over 30 years, and now I'm back. And I am a jazz vocalist. I also do musical theater, R&B, neo soul. I am also an actor and a makeup artist, so very creative on that end. And I had the opportunity to go and see one of Edie Hyde's performances, Sheepdog, and I was just like, I have to be involved. I have to be involved. I had friends that came to visit me from out of town, and they were just like, oh my goodness, this is crazy. So they went back and did what they needed to do at work. And I said, I have to be involved in this because these productions are life-changing. The conversations, the impetus, that is why I'm involved. I want to see change in the community. I want to see more conversations. And I want to be able to help move things forward.
Love that. Thank you, Damita. It's so real. And I think all of you kind of touched on it, right? Art has the ability to make real change. Unlike any other system, art has this very innate ability to change people from the inside, which really, I mean, that's how change happens, right? One person at a time. And what we do at Ebony Road Players, we tell stories exclusively by Black playwrights, Black stories. And it's to highlight, no, we have a rich history. We bring so much to the arts community, and it's often overlooked, but Ebony Road Players is here saying, no, you can't overlook us. We are here for a reason because these stories need to be told. So we are super happy to have you on board. My name's Kiana Babb. I have been involved with Ebony Road Players. I have a very interesting history. So I have about 15, 20 years of corporate world experience, restaurants and corporate management, stuff like that. And I had walked away. I just wasn't feeling great. And I was like, okay, where's life going to take me? So my son, who's a senior in high school now, this was back when he was in middle school, maybe 6th grade. And he was like, so my partner at the time had worked with Ebony Road Players, and she was like, they're having a youth program. Gabriel should go. Okay, so he went. He really enjoyed the program, and then during the program, the teacher told him about a production that was going on, and he comes home and he was like, "Hey, Mom, you should audition with me." Okay. And I'm just thinking, okay, I'll audition because he wants me to, and maybe that'll get him more comfortable to be on stage. So we get to the audition, and the director loved me. I had been in one play in middle school. That was it. I love theater, but I never saw myself on stage. So we both get roles in the play. It was the Spectacularly Lamentable Trial of Ms. Martha Washington, the most long and awkward name of a play, but it was so much fun. And afterward, it was fun being on stage, but afterward, I was like, I want to do what he does, talking about the director. I want to be involved behind the scenes because I'm a behind the scenes type person. I know that's really where the magic happens. So there was an opportunity for me to come on with Ebony Road Players full-time in 2018. And that's where I've been ever since. I do everything. So Edie and I are the only 2 official Ebony Road Players employees. We work with a bunch of independent contractors, but she and I do this on a daily basis. So I do everything from communications to administrative to production assistance, production management, things like that. So, a lot of these when we went through Visionary Academy last year, I was even able to apply the stuff that we were learning into my day to day. Built an entire career off of just a whim and feeling that thing. And that's what we're really trying to push, is that thing. Everybody knows when it happened to them. Like they call it the theater bug, and it's once you see it and once you are exposed to it, if you're supposed to be part of theater, you can't walk away from it. It grabs you and it holds on to people forever. And the problem that we run into in Grand Rapids is that people aren't exposed to it. But as soon as they're exposed to it, and I'm not saying sitting down and seeing a show, obviously you can go see a show wherever. But that moment of participating in theater, that's what gets you hooked. So we are trying to bring as many people in to participate with us as possible, because that's how we grow the real theater community. And this is one way of doing that, because for years we've done youth programming, specifically around middle school. And this idea for Visionary Academy came, one of our directors, the director of the show that I was in, and Edie and I, we sat down and we were having tea on her patio at the beginning of the pandemic. And we were talking about how hard it is to get, to fill our shows, on stage and production with Black people. Grand Rapids has a really rough history with gatekeeping and just very exclusionary practices. And because of that, Black folks in Grand Rapids don't see themselves in theater the way that they do in other cities. And we were talking about, it's so deep. We don't have a bunch of Black artists going to school for, theater-based degrees and participating in theater programs in college. We don't have a lot of people that are actively pursuing careers in theater. One, because what do we know as the minority is, if it's not going to make you money, don't waste your time on it, right? And we're so pushed to, no, you need to go do something that's going to make you money. You're not going to make money in art. Okay. And then on top of that, you have, if we are going to these shows, especially in Grand Rapids, you go to see a show in Grand Rapids and you might find one Black person on the stage. Maybe. You might maybe see a Black person, on the production team. It's rare unless, you go to see a traveling show, but our local shows do not, they just don't showcase Black artists. And so if you don't see yourself in it, if you don't think you're going to make money in it, why waste your time, right? So the idea of Visionary Academy was born because we know that you can make money in it. We know that you can build an entire career based off of theater work and the business of theater. So we put together, we wrangled in a bunch of our people working, all around the US, and we brought them in. Hey, how do we build a program to show that Black artists in Grand Rapids can and should be involved in theater, and you can make it into a career. And that's where it came from. And we are super proud. This is, like Edie said, this is our second year. Last year, we had 5 people go through the program. This year, we have 8 signed up. So hopefully we get all 8. And it's supposed to be small. It's supposed to be intimate. We're not trying to change the world, 50 people at a time. We want it to be where you guys can actually participate, where you can ask our presenters questions, where you can really immerse yourselves in the process, because at the end of this, we as Ebony Road players have the ability to invest in your projects, which is another thing that, you know, you can find a theater program pretty much anywhere. So this is where Visionary Academy is different. One, it is specifically tailored to Black and Brown artists. Two, it is free thanks to a very generous support from the Weggy Foundation. We pitched this project to Weggy before we even knew what it was. And once we got the money for it, then we built out the project or the program. And then on top of that, we have presenters, working artists at the top of their field around the US. We have some coming out from LA, from Atlanta, from Charlotte, like these big Black hubs. You guys will be hearing from presenters who have really made moves in theater. And you know, someone said they want to transition to film. We have them explaining that transition too, because it is possible, and that it's a very common transition. So what we're hoping is that on the application, I included a spot for your original idea. And some of you had something already, some of you may not have, and that's okay. Today, I want to plant the seed that at the end of this program, so this is December 10th, that day will be you guys pitching your program or your project to Ebony Road Players. We're going to invite our board members and maybe some other community members, and you guys will get to pitch to us what you're hoping to do with what you gain through Visionary Academy. And the reason why I wanted to plant that seed today is you take a few minutes after we get done and think about what it is, and then think about, use that as kind of your guiding measure throughout the program, picking out those pieces of what you'll need from these presenters, what you're learning from them that you can apply to that project. Because it really does, it makes a difference. And one thing that you don't get often in programs is a financial investment to actually bring a project to life. And that was something that we wanted to build into Visionary Academy, because it's really important to us, one, that you come back and you participate with us in the future, but also that we help to seed where you're going in your own future. And so that financial investment is one of the hardest things on Black artists in general. So to be able to offer that is something that we hold very near and dear to our heart. So, you know, I when I sat down with our presenters, every conversation was, hey, I want you to talk about the things that no one ever told you. I want you to talk about the things that you only learn by experience, the things that people cannot get in school. I want this to feel like a conversation that you're having sitting on a couch with somebody you just met who's interested in getting into theater. And when I tell you my mind was blown listening to these presenters, I left Visionary Academy thinking I can do anything. I really can. Now, mind you, I'm already doing a whole lot, but I was like, I can do anything, because we've curated this program in a way that touches on everything that is part of the business of theater. You know, you can learn acting. You can learn acting anywhere, you know, and that's a skill that grows over time. What you can't learn is how a director sees you as an actor. What you can't learn, or I mean, what a lot of people don't learn, is all the ins and outs that go into stage management, the business of theater, and actually starting your own legalized business. That is what you will be getting out of this program. And if you can't tell, I'm super excited, because last year I was a little bit nervous. I was like, I'm not sure how this is going to turn out. But now I am 100% confident because our visionaries from last year have gone on to create their own projects, have gone on to one of our visionaries actually legitimized her. She's a director, and she legitimized her being a director in a business. And she built that based on what she learned in Visionary Academy. So the opportunities are endless. And I want you guys to take that in as you are going through this to see, what can I do? What can I do with one, these resources, and two, with everything that I learned here? That was a lot. I know I said a lot of words. Do you guys have any questions or comments about it? Awesome. So let's talk about a couple of housekeeping items, and then I will go into oh, that was really fast. I will go into some excuse me, my brain just died. Oh, and then we'll go into creating our parking lot. So housekeeping. Normally I'll start with housekeeping every session, just little bits and pieces. And I have quite a long list today. So it is really important for you guys to show up to every session. And the reason why is it's not canon. It does not build on, it is the 3-hour block is very specific to what we're talking about in that session. And I want you guys to get the most out of it as possible. I will be, because our presenters, they all have their own creative businesses, what they're sharing with you is their own intellectual property. So I will be trying to get permission to record sessions. That is mainly to highlight Visionary Academy for Ebony Road players, and we'll be adding portions of the session to like our Patreon and our social media pages. However, if there is a I'll call it dire reason that you cannot make a session, I hope to have it recorded that you can sit and watch. However, you're not going to get the same out of it just sitting down. One, because can your brain really handle sitting down and actually taking in 3 hours worth of information without participating? That's hard, right? But two, I want you guys to be able to get in front of our presenters and get, to ask them questions. This is not a one-way communication. This is your program, and I want you guys to get the most out of it as possible. And then in addition to being present for every session, I want you guys to look at it as, like I was saying, what am I looking for specifically in this? Because we'll build our parking lot right now. However, after the first session, you might realize, oh, wait, this might apply to my project in this way. And I want you, being present to be able to ask those questions, because you'll have their contact information once they're gone, but it's not the same as being able to ask them the questions face to face. As far as the Zoom meetings go, you guys are more than welcome to be off camera. I will suggest being on camera as much as possible, mainly because the presenters that we've brought in, like I said, they are some really heavy hitters, and to meet them face to face, networking is huge. We have one of our presenters, he created his own presentation. His name is Bruce Lemon Jr., and he is a powerhouse out in LA. And he will be talking about risk, collaboration, and storytelling, and really the creation process or creative process from beginning to end. And he is very versed in short films. So one of our visionaries from last year will be working with him in creating her own original short film. That is why it's important to be on camera, because obviously, if I can see your face and I can connect to you, then this man is super busy. But he's like, yes, I do want to work with you. It is important for me to continue to invest in these folks who've taken their time to really invest in their futures. So like I said, you're grown. You can be off camera if you need to, but my suggestion and my hope for you is that you're comfortable to be on camera as much as possible. And then I didn't write notes. Don't tell Edie. I did not write my notes for today. I just had it in my mind, and I should have known better because it's not flowing as nicely as I'm used to.
Yana, may I interject for just a moment?
Absolutely.
I have angry allergies this morning. That is the only reason why.
No worries. And like I said, I understand. You guys are adults. I understand that you will have to do what you need to do for yourself. Like I said, it's just a suggestion because I do know that this is the closest that we can get to face with somebody out in LA, because we got money for this program, but we didn't get that much money for this program. Okay. So, being able to make that contact is really helpful. I don't know who this is. Give me a second. Good morning.
Sorry, this is Jocelyn. It's
all right. Okay.
Sorry, my work account.
I was like, I don't know.
Sorry. No, it's me.
But only people who are supposed to be here have this link. So Jocelyn, I am recording this. So I will send it over to you once it's downloaded so you can watch the first portion, because we've gone over a lot of information already. And then I'm going to have you come on just for a moment, because I do want to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself, tell us why or where you're from, your background, and also why you're participating in Visionary Academy. I'll let you get your bearings and then we can do that. Okay.
Okay. Sounds great.
Awesome. So I've talked about participation in the sessions. So like I said, it's really like, this is about you. They'll have their presentations, but participate and ask them questions. And I know it's a lot harder with it being a virtual program to really feel like you have the ability to interject, but it's part of the program. Think of this, we're treating it no differently than if we were all in the same room together. So I want you guys to really, immerse yourselves, because the content itself is interesting, but one of the best things that comes out of Visionary Academy are the conversations that are had, those aha moments. And if you have them, share them, because you guys are just as much part of this process and your own learning and your own development as our presenters, as I am, as Edie is. So please, don't hold back. And the other thing about what the presenters are talking about, like I said, this is no, you can't learn this in school. This is my own experience. We have one of our presenters started on the production end of 227 with Marla Gibbs. And she tells us how their production contract was it wasn't up to snuff, and what happened from that point on. she's not telling this story to anybody else, right? This is some premium content that you're not going to get anywhere else. And that's because it is because it is more personal. You guys can ask more personal questions. You can ask, you don't have to be so PC about it, because one of the reasons all of our presenters are Black, and one of those reasons is because we know that as a Black person moving through the world, your experiences are different. And we really want to highlight, some of the tips and tricks that they have navigating creative world, creative spaces as a Black person. So I want you to be confident in knowing that those specific questions about Black experience have a place in this program as well. They are in the foundation of what we've built, because especially around here, you can learn from somebody who's moved through this world that doesn't look like you all day, but then you're like, wait, how do I apply it to me? Because I did go to an audition there and they didn't give me the time of day, or I did apply to be, a stagehand and they wouldn't, they looked at me like I didn't know what I was doing, or that whole, they want to bring you on, but they don't actually want to teach you, things like that. Those experiences are very unique, and there's space for them here. There's space for you guys to talk about your own experiences, positive and not positive. So I want you to be, I guess, comfortable in speaking up and actually participating too. So any questions or thoughts about that? Okay. All right. I'm gonna keep going. So another housekeeping item that I have is I sent you guys an email, and some of you have already responded with your headshots and bios. If you can take some time today, if you guys have not turned those in, this week I will be working to introduce you to our internet community. So I'll be just like I did. I don't know if you guys all follow us on Facebook and Instagram, but if you don't, please start. And it's Ebony Role Players on both. And I will be highlighting you guys too in your stories, just like I did with our presenters, because again, this is your program. This is about you. So please, like I said, if you have not already, get me your headshots and bios hopefully by the end of the day on Monday. I think my plan is to put that up on Wednesday. I could be wrong. That I do have scheduled and a lot of notes on, because if you can imagine all that I do here, it takes a lot of organizing after. So while we're doing Visionary Academy, I'm also working on our next big thing, which is a fundraiser. So those things I do have to keep in order, unlike the notes that I didn't write today. So let's see. Some bios. Oh, the other thing that I wanted to mention about our presenters, and I kind of touched on it already, is they are not just presenting to you. I encourage you to look at them as part of your network. They are very open to hearing from you, hearing updates, also helping out with your questions and things like that. So I do want you guys to utilize their contact information because they have so much to give. And each and every one of them, they were super excited about this program because they don't get to talk about this stuff. They don't get to talk about the tough parts of, you know, the creative world. They don't get to have these conversations about what went wrong, or, you know, how they had to pivot and what they've created as a result of, you know, the struggles that they had. Like Bruce Lemon grew up in Watts. Okay, that tells you that he's got some grit behind him, you know. And that was one thing that we wanted to bring in. We wanted to bring people who didn't have an easy road to get to where they are, and people who did it anyway. We have, I think, all the way up to a doctorate, if I'm not mistaken. And so one of our presenters is she heads the theater department at Western University, or Western Michigan. And I mean, just, you know, we put some time and some effort, and we found some people that can really make a difference in your lives, but they can't do that if you don't reach out to them. So that's my 2 cents. And again, this is also after myself, you know, going through Visionary Academy last year. And I didn't, when we were putting it together, I didn't think that I was going to be a visionary too. I wouldn't put myself on the list because that looks weird. However, what I got out of it was life-changing. And I'm already working in a creative business. But I took those things to build on my own separate business, and it's been working out so far. And that does bring up too, even if the content doesn't apply on the surface, I will tell you that it all applies at the end. You know, while we're talking about theater specifically, it applies to so many other creative practices and so many other creative projects that I don't want you guys to be limited in your this is only for theater. So I took what I got. I have a natural hair business, and I took what I got out of Visionary Academy, and I applied a lot of those things to my my natural hair business. And you would think, how do those things correlate? But they do 100%. And a lot of this, because it's so business oriented, it applies to just about any business that you can think of, especially in leadership, in the world of leadership. So don't be limited to this is only for theater, because it really isn't. And while we want you to come participate with Ebony Road Players, we also want you to build your own somethings. And the way that we've put this together, there's no limit to what that something can be. Sound good? Give me a second. That was extra, and now I've thrown myself off. I know where I was going. So because our presenters all have their own creative businesses, and they will be presenting in some cases sensitive information, we do ask that you, if you are retelling any of these stories, that you remove their names, because some of them will absolutely tell you some nitty-gritty business about the business, and it's okay to share their stories. Just, do it in a way that doesn't get them in trouble because they are still working in these businesses, right? And that's just a little side note. And most of the time, if they're getting into some of the, the stuff that they don't want out in the world, they'll tell you. I had one last year who wanted to tell some rough stories, and she's like, okay, so we're gonna record the first part, and this part, can you stop recording? And then she just went in, and it was like, oh, that happened. Okay. A lot of it is about her work in academia and in West Michigan at that, if you can imagine what that looks like. And so, yeah, so just be aware that you guys are getting stuff that they might not want out in the world. So just be mindful. And then I talked about attendance. I'm gonna go back to attendance for a second. It is not that you will get in trouble if you do not attend every session. You won't get kicked out, none of that. So, I don't want you dying and from your hospital bed still on the Zoom call. It's not that serious. It's really just, I want you guys to get as much out of it as possible. So, attendance is encouraged, but it's not mandatory. I will say though, the more of you, and this goes back to what I was saying about the conversations, the more of you that are here, the richer the program becomes, because your experiences matter too. So I think that is about all that I had for housekeeping today. Nope, I lied. If you guys have not already done so, please go in and accept all of the Google invites that I've sent. So I checked it today and I saw that some people hadn't accepted. And the reason why that's important is because it helps me to know if you do plan on being here or not. And also I can go back and show, because everything for this program, if you can imagine, is fully funded by one foundation. So we have to report on everything. So that's a good way for me to show them how many people plan to show up and how many people we had signed up. So please go in. And then also I don't know if you guys use calendars or not. I am a stickler for my calendar. It keeps it all in one nice place for you. So please go in and do that if you have not done so already. And then any additional like paperwork and things like that, it'll be coming from me. I don't know that we have any, we don't have a contract for you guys, but there may be something associated with your final projects. So keep an eye out for those. I will say this is a new layer an expanded layer to Visionary Academy. We realized last year that we weren't specific enough in how we discuss the final projects. So we kind of doubled down on that effort because we found last year, listen to this craziness, okay? We found that we had money that our visionaries did not claim because they hadn't created the projects because we weren't specific enough about it in the beginning. And I'm not saying like a little $15, $20. Like we have some money set aside to help seed your project. So please, please, please take advantage of that. And I don't think your final pitch, it doesn't have to be, budgeted down and all of the nitty-gritty details, but we do want to know that one, you have a project in mind, that it's well thought out, and that you have the ability to continue on it with financial support, and that you have a plan to gain the rest of it, because we can't fund your whole project. One, because we can't, but two, because we don't want to. And I say that, and that sounds a little bit harsh, but I'll tell you, it's because part of gaining money for projects is you showing your investors, your grantors, anyone that you're looking for money for, showing them that you can invest your time and your money or your resources into bringing this project to life. So we want to invest in a portion of your project, and we want to give you the resources and the information on finding money to continue. Oh, that's a really good question. So Khadija just asked in the chat, what types of projects. So I'll give you some examples. One project from last year is one of our visionaries is working on a short film. And so she just submitted over her project proposal, and we are working through a budget to be able to actually financially invest. Another one of our visionaries created a writing workshop. The other, our investment in her was furthering her director business, I guess. So we supplied her with financial resources to, actually legitimize the business. Also provided her with financial support to direct a show for us. So it can be a large or a solo project. It can be a project that you want to do with us, because the writing workshop was with Ebony Road Players. It can be a stage of a project, because we know that shows take years to build, right? But if you wanted your first stage to be the actual writing of it, and you need support in writing a show, we would be able to fund that portion. So it really just depends on what you're looking to do. And I am available too at all times for you guys. If you're building out these projects and you want some guidance on making it a digestible project, or how to pitch it to us, we can work on that too. So now that we have a clearer vision about what the final projects look like, now we've been able to go back with our visionaries from last year and actually flush those out a little bit better than we were able to do. So my hope is, now that we've learned a bit from last year, we can, present that up front with you guys, so that at the end of this 8 weeks, you will be where our visionaries are a year later. Does that make sense? So yeah, it can be anything. It can be a stage play. It can be a one-person show. It can be a just a play itself, writing it, or starting a business. It can be whatever you want it to be. We just want it to be flushed out. Does that make sense? You guys have any other questions about that? That was a really good question. So let's take a minute then. I'm gonna bring you guys into the conversation and tell me, what are some ideas that you have floating in your brain for projects? I'm interested. I'm here, and I'm gonna let somebody speak up.
there's an idea that I've had since I've been working with the demographic survivors of like trauma, rape, domestic violence, that type of thing. And just off the top of the head, there are some people that respond to cognitive behavioral therapy and others who do not. And I was just thinking about having maybe a production put up of for colored girls who consider suicide, and have the cast be individuals whose experiences maybe mirror the characters, to help them work through their issues, and then have conversations afterwards, maybe with the police department or social workers who can give input on how to get these individuals reacclimated back into society. I don't know. That's kind of 25 bazillion arms and legs to it, but that was an idea. That's all.
I like that a lot. So Four Color Girls is the first show that Ebony Road Players ever did. We did a staged reading of it in 2014, and then we brought it back around in 2019 and did a full production of it. And it will forever be, oh yay. It will forever be one of our favorite shows, because it is such important content, right? And to be able to do, even if it weren't the actual show, to be able to do a take on it, or a more in-depth look at their lives. So that's something that's really popular these days, is taking a story that already exists and adjusting it to current day, or taking a deeper dive into the characters. You think about The Wizard of Oz and then Wicked, right? And how, yeah, okay, so we have the characters, but tell us a little bit more about it. What about the story? So one of the ideas that I had, one of my favorite shows from not my childhood, even though it was in my childhood, but when my son was younger, it was one of his, well, when he was 5. Weird kid, I'll tell you about it later. So he was really, really, really into Little Shop of Horrors, like really into it. He's a musical kid, and I knew all the songs. But my idea was revamping Little Shop of Horrors and focusing on gentrification, because I think the seed is there. Anybody familiar with Little Shop of Horrors? Okay, one. Oh man. So I'm gonna give you some homework. Okay, I'm gonna need you to find, because you can't be my Visionaries. Yes, my Visionaries, and not know my favorite show. But no, so I had an idea of a rewrite or an updating of Little Shop of Horrors to talk about, to highlight what gentrification does to Black neighborhoods or low income neighborhoods, because that is something that is extremely close to my heart, living in Southeast side of Grand Rapids and watching what they are doing to my neighborhood. So anyway, I think, Demita, I think the direction that you're going is 100% possible. Whether you do the show itself and an updated take on it, or if you wanted to do a spinoff of the show and create something original, I think that is wonderful. And again, these, we're just spitballing here, right? But maybe something sticks later and you can build on that. So I'm going to welcome Chris. Good morning. Good morning. I'm going to take a step back and I've recorded this this session, and I will be sending it out to you so you can pick up on what you missed, because I've gone over a lot of information about the program already. So right now we're just talking about ideas for final project. And just to recap on that, so you have some context, Ebony Road Players, at the end of Visionary Academy, you have the opportunity to pitch your own project to Ebony Road Players for us to help with resources and finances to help bring that project to life. So we're just talking about some ideas that visionaries have to, seeds of what those projects might look like. And what you say today can be completely different, as you go through the program. But if this is your actual project, if this is what you've already been thinking about, then looking at the program as very tailored to how do I use this information to further my project. Okay. Anybody else want to share just some floating ideas that they might have?
So I've been working on a stage play for like 5 years now.
Wow.
Like starting it, rewriting like the characters, like everything, like 5 years I've been. So I kind of want to like take another stab at it. I feel like I'm in a place now to where I can really sit down and develop the characters, develop the intersectionality of all of their experiences and identities, and just all of those different things. I feel like I'm there now. And then in addition to wanting to pivot into more like the production side of theater, I love children's theater. Like growing up in church, like I used to always I was like the assistant, but I was like really the head of our drama department. Like I'm the go-to girl. Like I was really the go-to girl. So I did like I made like all of our plays, whether they were improv. Well, they were mainly improv. Okay. And so I want to definitely like build like the theater scene for kids in different communities, and then like being contracted out to like go and run shows like at the Boys and Girls Clubs, at schools, and at different children-based programs all across the city, the states, everywhere.
Okay.
Everywhere.
I love that. And we love that as Ebony Road Players, because we have, as I mentioned, we have a middle school program that we've been working for, I think it started 2017, 2016, something like that. And it is not bringing in the amount of kids that we want to bring in. So we're taking a step back and revamping that program. So, we yeah, right? We might need that. And again, this is not only is this about your project, but we want to see, how do you fit into the world of Ebony Road Players? How can we involve you in what it is that we do? Because let me tell you, I don't get paid a lot, but my heart is rich. This job gives me it's a level of fulfillment that I've never had anywhere else. And being able to be part of something that makes such a difference, that's how you get the momentum to go to your next thing. That's how you continue to build, is having something that you can attach to. So I'm gonna tell you, from this day forward, y'all are Ebony Road Players too. And I'm listening to all of these ideas and stories like, I got some ideas. We have space. One, because it's only two of us, but two, because we're building community every day in every way, and there's no limit to what it is that we want to do here. So I love that, and we will definitely be working toward that too. Anybody else?
I got one.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Well, while we have you, Jocelyn, you want to, oh no, sorry, that was Sierra. I apologize. Go ahead. I was going to tell her to introduce herself.
So I have two ideas. I'm not sure which one I'll settle on, but before I left Kentucky, I was working on a like an aerial adaptation of The Lion King for my company. And I'm a little worried about the face you just made. I don't know.
That's exciting.
I just feel like with aerial theater, it's a little simpler to like choose a well-known story and then figure out what elements or characters would make sense to like be doing this like activity, and like it makes sense and the audience get it. So that's one idea. And then my second idea, though, if I wanted to tie it a little closer to like community and like my new home in Grand Rapids, I went to the Giants Awards. I think it was like a week or so ago. And it was just really cool to be in a room where it's like all these people, it just seemed like everyone had gone to school together. Everyone was just so connected and everyone was like friends. And so I thought like an idea, kind of like looking, it's hard to explain, but I'm picturing like it's a schoolhouse, it's an old schoolhouse, and like all of these kids have all these ambitions and all of their imaginations are just flying. They're talking about, well, when I grow up, I want to do this. And kind of taking like that childlike wonder, that ambition, and that could kind of translate into, you know, the whole like whimsical like circus, you know, spiel. So I don't know, but I do know that either way, like no matter what idea I settle on, if it's like more mainstream or more like homegrown, I would really love the opportunity to start teaching in Grand Rapids again. So like if there's, no matter what, I would love for my project to be like a aerial theater fusion, you know, shorter, you know, just testing the water since it doesn't exist in Grand Rapids already. But I would love to, you know, you're talking about like the middle school program. It's like I can teach kids like 10 and up, but like I can teach adults. I've been doing it for like 2 or 3 years. So like maybe it's kind of like, well, number one, to expand like accessibility to circus arts, because y'all, this stuff is expensive. And I recognize I've been really privileged to like have access to that. And so I just love to help like other people, you know, have that experience and just engage with like that art form, like engage with themselves, you know. So I don't know.
I love everything about it. And I do, you know, I think art in general should be innovative. It should be bringing something, you know, that hasn't been seen. And I agree. So let me, I'm a huge fan of Cirque du Soleil. That style, that's what you're talking about, Eric, when you say real theater. Okay. Yeah. I love it. I am obsessed. I've been to 7 Cirque shows all around the US. It's a little obsession. But yeah, you know, I think that your approach could be one, you know, figuring out which one makes sense, or applying what you learned to both sides and putting it all together, and which one comes out with the most viability at the end. So I think for both you and Khadijah, we will have a playwriting basics that will, you know, if you are looking to write an original show, you'll get a look into that. Now, playwriting, can be really technical, and so our presenter, she's actually a visionary from last year, and she'll be able to talk about her experience, but she is a playwright, and she's like, I can't do this in 3 hours, right? I'm like, yeah, I know, but let's just get an overview. And we also have, so the professor from Western Michigan is also a playwright, who both of those would be wonderful resources to work with beyond Visionary Academy too, if you are looking to create an original project. I'm already, I got y'all in mind. And this is about getting you the best possible resources and experience that I can. Anybody else have ideas? John?
Yeah, no, I guess mine would be more from like the acting perspective. Like I've was in the company for a while, kind of like pre-pandemic, and then the pandemic hit, and I had to kind of get myself a regular old 8-to-5 job. So I've been working in recruitment for like the last couple of years, which is great. But acting is my passion, theater is my passion. Being on the stage, being my artistic self, that's where I'm meant to be. So really, my vision for myself is to really be able to just kind of pursue that. Whether that just be taking on, I'm open to a lot of different ideas. So put me on the stage, put me where you need me, throw me wherever I'm in front of the camera, on the stage, in front of individuals. That's where I shine. So,
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that, because so that actually can be a business by itself. Just like our director turned herself into a business as a director, actors can do the same thing. And there will be a lot of information on building a personal creative business as well. So keep your eye out on that, because now, mind you, Grand Rapids, they don't pay their actors. We do. Now, let me say, we give stipends, because we can't afford to pay full. We be scraping by for our shows to begin with. But one of our commitments is that we do compensate our actors to the best of our ability, something that sets us apart from the other theater companies. However, have you ever put together your acting resume? Have you ever, those types of things? And we will absolutely talk about the details behind business. And then for you too, acting through the lens of a director is going to be like right there. And she's so good. So she's directed a bunch of shows. She just came off of last year doing a one woman show, Dewandra Lampkin, who is incredible. And she feel like mama and auntie. And I love her to pieces. But she really breaks down, why actors don't continue to get jobs, and, what directors are looking for, and her own experience working as actor, director, and, bridging the gap between those two. So I think that'll be a really, really insightful session for you and for everybody. It was probably one of my favorites, if I had to pick, because I can be on the stage, but that's not my home. But to be able to help our, people that we've worked with, to help them go on to get roles in other theater companies too, because, we're not looking to build the theater community for the other theater companies. They have their audience, they have their actors, they have that. However, we want our actors to be able to have those same opportunities, because the stages are bigger. You know, we're not delusional. We understand we are a small theater company, and we only do a select number of shows per year, and they're usually, you know, not really large shows, so we don't have a bunch of acting roles. We do want to prepare you to go out to other theater companies and get roles too. So that was where I took away from that session, is these are the things when we're creating acting training workshops, these are the things that we want to pass along to our visionaries and, you know, our community members, to say, these are some things that'll help you when you go audition for Civic. These are some things that'll help you when you go audition for Grand Rapids Broadway, or Broadway on Grand Rapids, or, you know, wherever. So it was really insightful for me on the production side, but I think our visionaries got a lot of that. Awesome. Thank you. So I'm gonna take a step back, and I'm going to take this time to have Jocelyn and Chris introduce themselves. If you guys can tell us where you are from, you know, maybe a brief history about your involvement in theater or in creative arts, and what you hope to get out of Visionary Academy. And then, you know, since we're talking about ideas, do you have any ideas for a project that you are looking to bring to life with our help?
Oh, well, my name is Chris Rice. I'm from Benton Harbor, Michigan. I moved to Grand Rapids about 7 years ago. I used to do theater back in high school, so that was a while back. So that's about the extent. But I led those plays back then. I just wanted to get into this to get a feel for what the theater community is around here.
Awesome.
I don't have any ideas for a project right now because I wasn't prepared for that. But I'm interested to see what everybody has to say and see what I can contribute to that conversation.
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, I think too, one thing that you another approach to the final project is maybe you don't have it right now, and that's okay. But, you know, I would encourage you to do some brainstorming after today's session. Come up with, you know, even just a general idea. Do you want to put on a show? Do you want to build a business? Do you want, and then that way you can formulate your questions and your participation based off of something that you have in mind. I think it makes the content also a little easier to digest when you have, you know, that you're applying it to something, because it's a ton of information, a ton of wonderful information, but it's a lot. And to be able to, you know, kind of hone it in on, I know that I'm using this for a reason. Let me find the bits and pieces in this information that, you know, really speak to me. And you might find that as you're going through the sessions, like, you know what? I had this idea in the back of my mind years ago and I never did anything with it. Let me explore what that looks like. So there's no right way or wrong way to do it. We just hope that you will take the time to create something so that we can invest in your future. Cool. Thank you for sharing, Chris. Hey, boo.
Hey, yeah, so my name's Jocelyn. I am from Grand Rapids. I'm going to talk about stuff I know first. So yeah, right now I'm on a wave where I'm doing stuff for me. So that's kind of, it's like, it's new, it's different. It's a new thing for me. But that's what I'm doing. And so this class is part of that because I went through a really shitty breakup where I just had like a lot of internal reckoning. And I want to write about it because I feel like I learned a lot of stuff about myself, but also because I feel like religious shame played a deep role in the demise of the relationship. And so I think like expanding on that will not only be healing for me, but also probably nice for other people to see. You know, media can be healing for other people, not just the people who write it, but you know, it's mostly for me. So I'm excited you know, to learn through the class other stuff too. I don't know, I've been doing creative stuff and not really taking myself seriously as a creative for a really, really too long of a time. And I just like, I want to get used to talking about myself more. This is my Instagram, you know what I mean? Plugging myself more. Yeah, so I'm excited to like learn through the classes about how creatives of color navigate like creative spaces, especially difficult ones, and protect their own energy, because that's what I need to do. And especially from like, I think the creative space, especially like theater or performance in general, brings a lot of narcissists to the table. And I just want to learn how to like avoid that, or protect myself from it, at least if I'm not avoiding it, you know, just being able to recognize patterns and shut that down for myself. I've done a lot of work with youth through the diatribe. Here's their Facebook. I'm not talking about them. This is about me. And I know really nothing about theater. I like theater. I've always appreciated self-expression of any form. I work with the Vagrancy. Here's their Instagram. Also not talking about them. Here, so like
that was the company I was with previously.
Cool. I'm not talking about them. So there's that. And I know that the theater in general is like really healing. I think it's a space that you know, let's like, I don't know, I read The Body Keeps the Score recently. So it really solidified my thoughts about theater and how it provides an opportunity for the folks who are writing it to like know what they know and expand on that. The folks who are involved in it to like you know, like acting is like operating your body in a new way, which I think is really cool and exciting. And so anyway, you know, the work that I do with youth, I'm wanting to figure out how I can incorporate theater into that as well. So, you know, the three things I'm looking to learn are how the heck do I write a play? I've never done that. How do I protect my energy as a creative? And how, like what, you know, if anything, what do people get out of theater? So that I can kind of try and weave that into programming I do with kids. So that's it. That's me. Thanks for listening.
I love that. Thank you for sharing. So what Jocelyn didn't say is they're very involved, or an incredible writer, I'll say that, an incredible poet. And there is a direct correlation between poetry and theater. So the original theater was rooted in poetry and bringing poetry to life. So, you know, the transition makes perfect sense. And also being able to turn creative writings and creative works into theatrical performance there's a skill in that. And that was one of the courses or one of the presentations that I was hoping to get in. But the person that I had in mind for it, she's like, I'm a little bit nervous because she had just converted her personal works into a show. And she's like, maybe next year and this year. So it's the same. Dewandra Lampkin, she just really wants to talk about acting and through the lens of a director. However, she's a great resource in being able to turn creative works into performance pieces. And when you talk about youth, right, performance, so I'm going to touch on this for just a second because it is really important. Body movement and learning, right? You learn so much through movement. When you can engage your entire body in the process of learning, it embeds deeper in your mind, it embeds deeper in your soul. So bringing theatrical experience to your work with youth makes so much sense. And I think it will give you the opportunity to elevate that experience for them. You know, I know the work that the Diatribe does, and I wish, so I did have a conversation with the executive director, and I wish that I could get him to see that we do something that could elevate the entire experience of the Diatribe, because it is very much, there isn't a difference between poetry performance and theater. However, you know, but we got Jocelyn here, so, you know, who knows? So yeah, I really appreciate you sharing. I appreciate hearing all of your voices. Thank you very much for taking that prompt on, because it really is, again, I can't say it enough. This is your program. You know, I can talk all day long. I don't want to. My mouth is a little bit dry and I don't got any water over here. However, it is, you know, hearing these sparks of ideas from you and hearing about your experiences, that gives me joy. So I appreciate you guys taking the time to share with me. So I'm going to give us about a 7-minute break. We'll come back at 11:40, 7.5-minute break. And then we will start building our parking lot. Sound good? All right, I'll see you at 11:40. welcome back. It felt like the time was going super slow, and then I looked up and it was 11:40. But I did manage to eat a piece of cake. Yes, I had cake for breakfast. Because why not? That's how I live. Make sure I don't got chocolate on my mouth. All right. Getting everybody back. So this next piece is one of my favorite components of Visionary Academy. And it is because this is where we get to tailor the information that we receive. Excuse me. Our presenters will have whole presentation ready, right? Hold on. Ooh. Whole presentations ready. And then we also get to ask very specific questions. And that this is where we're going to build those questions. So what I'm going to do, I am going to go through a brief synopsis of what each presentation is about, and we can from there create a list of questions that apply to the sessions, or if you know, and then also basic questions that we have. So last year I had each of our presenters, they answered the questions that were specific to their topic, but also I threw in one of the non-specific questions for each person, or, you know, threw them a couple. I had some of the non-specific questions, I had multiple presenters answer because some of those questions about experiences and networking and things like that, getting multiple perspectives is really helpful. So I'm just getting my stuff ready here. Give me just a second. Let me see. Will you use calendar? Okay. What's happening? Sorry, give me a second. I'm working off the laptop and I don't have enough space for everything that I'm trying to do. I see. All right. So I've been talking about this guy for, you know, a long time. He's one of my favorites. They really all are, but he's just so cool, man. Yeah, I gotta meet him. He's really cool. So next week we will be talking risk, collaboration, and storytelling with Bruce Lemon Jr. He will be going through the creative process, you know, pivoting. He'll talk a lot about, you know, you run into a problem here and this is how you solve the problem. Working with people and how important it is to collaborate, especially in the beginning, to get your work out into the world. He'll also be talking about what it's like to grow up in the hood and work in theater. So I'm wondering, do you guys have any questions that you'd like to ask specifically around risk, collaboration, and storytelling? And, you know, feel free to drop them in the chat too. That way I can add them to, I'm just taking notes and I'll create a document based off of our notes.
How do you set your value of worth when you first start out?
Ooh, child. That was a question that we got last year. Pricing and valuation. That is fantastic. A really good question. So give me a second.
And in addition to that, how often do you raise your prices? Because today's price don't always be yesterday's prices anymore.
Okay. Any other questions? I love both of those. I run into that in my natural hair business all the time. And then my heart be like, oh, but I love you and you've been with me so long. How do I charge you more now? Because you need to. Because products cost more. Your time costs more. Girl, raise your prices. Anyway, it's a whole struggle. Any other questions you can think about? Storytelling or taking risks?
I guess one big question for me, sorry, y'all, I'm a talker and I'm really in a place in my life to where it's like, it's about me now. Like, it's me. So I need all the information I can get. So I will be a talker. Okay. If y'all don't want to talk, just, shoot me y'all messages and I'll say it, I promise. So I guess for me, it's like my biggest thing since I started theater is how to storytell and not, and how to storytell and keep yourself separate from the story when the characters kind of relate to you.
I like that. I like that a lot. I have an experience outside of the first show that I did with Ebony Road Players. We, during the pandemic, well, it was prior to, we had selected a show about Anne Frank and Emmett Till, a 4-character show. And it was a fantasy piece about what they would say to each other if they met. The two other characters were Anne Frank's dad and Emmett Till's mom. I don't know if you guys are familiar with the characters. However, so that piece, my son was brought on to play Emmett Till, and I was brought on to play Nancy Hill. I've never had a more heart-wrenching experience. And it really, it was a lot. It was a lot. I did not take it well. I did not handle it well. This was at the same time. So we got the content June of 2020. You can imagine what's going on in the world at that time. My son had just gotten his first job, and he was taking the bus to work, leaving into this world. And so my son now is 6'3", a big boy. But you guys, if you choose to follow me on Instagram, you'll see he has the sweetest face. However, from the back, you cannot tell, right? And playing a role of a mother who lived my worst nightmare, it drained me. It drained everything that I had, and it took a long time. And we were working with this content because everything was virtual. We worked with this content for almost 2 years. 2 years of retelling the story of Mamie Till. And it did something to me that I had to work to bounce back from. So that's a really good question. I don't have the answer for you. My answer was, I'll never do it again. I'll never do a role that is that close to my heart again. That's that close to my own experiences again. But that's also because I don't really like acting. Let's be honest. That just gave me a reason to be like, because I think my next work in theater will be in outside of my job, right? But it'll be more on the directing side because, again, I'm a strings puller. I like telling people what to do and how to do it. I like for my visions to be coming to life without me having to bring them to life. But I'm not saying that that's what you should do, because I know that there's a lot of experience around that, because not only have, a lot of these presenters started out on stage. So I think that we can ask that question to multiples. What else you guys got?
I think sorry, Demita, were you going to say something? Okay. I was going to say, I think I have two questions that are going to be the same for all of them. So how do you set boundaries and protect your energy in creative spaces? Both from whiteness, but also from other, just other creatives, and their energy too. And then the other question, how do you stay? I think doing creative stuff, it's it burns you out, Kiana, you just described being burnt out. So how do you, when you are burnt out or you don't want to do something but you have to, how do you push through?
How do you manage burnout? Because it's a thing, right? But I think the coming back from burnout is a real conversation that I think a lot of people need assistance with. Yeah, I think that's a really good question. And I'm sure all of our visionaries or all of our presenters will be able to touch on it a little bit. I love that. Thank you.
I'll wait. I have a question. I don't know if this will go across the board or not, but I want to know how you protect your intellectual property.
Ooh, that's
It's
a good
different
one.
from being copywritten. So let's say one of the visionaries here, they have this fabulous project they put up, and someone came to see their show. 6 months later, you see the same show up in New York. How do you prevent that from happening?
Really good question. And I know that at least 2, if not more, of our presenters will be able to touch on that too. Actually 3 in mind, and 1 will be able to speak from personal experience of losing their intellectual property. Yeah, it's a real thing. And it's difficult because we want to put our work out into the world.
Yes.
And we know that pirates exist. So I think that's a really good question. It's a really good topic. Bruce might have some pieces, but I'm thinking Shay Wafer, who is like I said, she was on the team that created 227, and what happened with that was heartbreaking. Her story behind it is heartbreaking. And so I do want to give you guys an option. Last year, I asked all of these questions. I will give you the option to ask your own parking lot questions of the presenters if you're comfortable. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to create a parking lot document in Google. I will share that with you guys. And if you want to claim your questions and ask your questions, you can do that. Otherwise, any unclaimed questions, I will ask for you. Sound good? And that just gives you another level of interaction. All right. Anything else around risk, collaboration, and storytelling? All right, let's move. Oh.
I'm just trying to figure out how to word it. My wheels has been turned into figure out how to word this question. Sure. But it's to deal with risk and collaboration. Okay, so where I'm going is, how do you remain firm and like not collabing with people with with experience and knowledge, but like they're not the right people to collab with. Like, and like take it and like I don't know how to say it. I don't know if that made sense.
So
that's what I'm trying to say.
Is your question around being swallowed in collaborations or about choosing collaborators?
Both and.
Oh, okay. All right. And I think those are it's two levels of the same question, right? I know that is something that Ebony Road players, we've been fighting, especially since 2020. It's been this oh, we want to say we work with Ebony Road players, you know, the Black theater, and they say we want to collaborate with you, and we come back and say, what does collaboration mean to you?
Right.
Because it does. What we are finding, it means using our name, using our platform, using our people, but not actually representing us. And collaboration and being very firm in what collaboration means to you is a huge component of moving through the creative world. And I think all of them sort of build a piece of that in. I know that Shay Wafer and Creative Producing talks a little bit about it. Edie has a lot of information on it in the watch out for this, because people will present it as a collaboration and it ain't. And then also Ashley Walden Davis, who is a powerhouse, an actual powerhouse, just business after business. She'll be talking us through owning your own creative business. And I think she'd be a really good one to talk about collaboration also, because she actually embodies what collaboration looks like. You guys, she might bring somebody to present with her. It's all a surprise. She's really incredible. And of all the people that we work with, you can see her focus on collaboration just in the work that she does. So I love those two questions. Thank you.
Can you repeat that question back to me so I can know that I said it?
Let me tell you, because I just said a lot of words and I forgot for a second. So let me write it down and then I'll remember.
Okay. See how your face look? My brain was the exact same way and trying to construct a question.
All right, so I have, how do you keep from being swallowed up in collaborations, and how do you choose collaborators? Awesome. Any other questions? All right, so let's go on to our next session, which will be playwriting basics. Playwriting 101. I think this one, I don't necessarily know y'all have questions coming in. I think this is going to be pay attention and ask a lot of questions. This session is, I mean, you can have questions, obviously, but I think this one is one that's going to spark more questions than we'll necessarily have up front. So this is our newest of the sessions, presented by Amisha Gross, who is one of our visionaries. She's a playwright. She is an incredible teacher. That's what she does in her day-to-day. And so it's going to be super informative and interactive. She works with middle school students. So, but this is new content for me. I can't speak to it too much other than her brain is incredible. I worked with her on my first show, and she's worked with my son multiple times in how she can develop a character. She currently is our lead teacher for Story to Stage, which is our youth program, and getting these kids to, in 2 weeks, they teach them the basics of playwriting and character development, and then they turn it into a short production, which her brain is absolutely incredible, and she'll be able to, because she is a teacher, she'll be able to answer questions like that. So very petite thing, but super powerful, super powerful. So I don't want to skip it over. If you guys have questions up front, we can add them to the list, or, you know, that might be more real-time questions for her.
This is going to be a really interesting subject, and I'm just wondering if there's a specific format, and if the rewriting that goes on, is there a certain number of rewrites before everything is put up, or you think that's something she's going to cover?
Oh, that I don't know. Just speaking from what I know about creative process, I don't know that there's a specific number, but I do think a question within what you're asking is maybe how to determine when a piece is complete.
Yes, yes.
I love that. Okay. Anything else along those lines? Or in playwriting in general?
How to find your genre of writing. I think I get a lot of questions like, what's your favorite genre of acting? Like, and I never know how to answer that question, because I guess I don't know how many is out there, because I just like jumped into theater acting. So it's like how to like determine like what style of writing, like if you like more into drama or more into like comedy or more into like stuff like that. Like how can you tell, or do you just not tell until the body work is done? I don't know.
That's a really good question. And that's a really good question. Part of me wants to say, why do you have to? But then another part of me says, maybe you need to because the style of writing is different. I am interested. And I think that Dewandra would also be a good resource to talk about that, because not only does that apply to writing, but it applies to performance in general, in this idea of, you know, what types of shows do I want to do? You know, when we get to a place where we can be picky, oh man, you know, do I want to say that I only do musical theater? Do I want to say that I only do thought-provoking pieces? I think that's really good. I don't know that anybody will necessarily tell you that there's a way to figure it out, but they might be able to share their own experiences in it. I like that. All right. Any final questions about playwriting? Okay. I believe our third is owning your own creative business. I could be wrong. Let me see. Nope. So that one is acting through the lens of a director.
I'm trying to think.
I don't have a question per se. Go ahead, John.
Oh, I guess like how to pick like the best, like, like monologuing maybe for auditioning or anything, like, like what's a good length, like what's which one you should really like draw attention to, like, and those kind of questions, just more artistically and just thinking emotionally too. But
So I know that this one is paraphrased, how to select an audition piece. However, I think you'll want to maybe go deeper into what all that means. I will say that she's going to come out the gate answering a lot of the questions that just came up. When I said it, you're like, whoa, I got a ton of questions. This is also another really informational presentation, because we don't think about it in those terms, which is why I created this specific presentation, because we know how to act. We don't know what directors are looking for. So, I think, and I saw it on your faces, this like, that's a topic that's too big. It's like, I have all the questions. What do you mean? I can't just pick one question. But if you can think of, if you come across a question that is more than just content based or like the learning side, we can add those to the list, because I promise you, she's going to go through a bunch of information about it. But I'm sure there are more specific pieces in that you guys might want answered too. And again, this might be one of those that we come up with a bunch of questions in the session, and she does build in time for Q&A. Her stories about Law and Order are great. Yes, her acting resume is, my God, like, and, if I'm not mistaken, she's from Kalamazoo. Like, one of my questions, how did you break out? How did you break out of here? And I think I'm going to add that as one of, or a question that I have, because it goes to, I think each of our presenters have something that they had to break out of. How did Bruce break out of the hood? How did Dewandra break out of this predominantly white creative environment? How did Shay break out of theater and build on top of that, because she was very much involved in theater specifically? And I think that how did you break out could be a signature question for all of our presenters, because what did they have to break out of? And it might be something that you have to break out of that you don't even know yet. I like that.
I do have a question.
Sure.
First the comment and then the question. Comment is, my first, like, acting from a director's lens or any production lens, like, production team, without the production team, the show is nothing. Like, yes, you're an actor, you're an actress. Yes, I get it. You are the show. However, you're nothing without the production team. And I realized that when I first was on the production side of the show, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to act so much differently now. Like, I am going to come prepared. Adding to that, with TV and film, I was helping a friend, like submit his audition tape. And I'm just like, just remember, just remember the content. Like, why do you have to have the paper? Like, just remember the content. And he was like, some directors don't like for you to be so prepared. Like, they don't. And I was like, so like, what is too prepared? Like when you're going into TV film? Because that really like startled me. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, it was like, even if you know it, just have the paper in your hand to not seem so cocky that you're like the shit. Cause like, I really am like, am I supposed to dumb myself down because what? Like, I'm really good at memorization. So I do theater.
I think that's a good question. And Dewandra will talk about research ahead of time. Yeah, she talks a lot about the research that you want to do and how you are being researched and the research that you want to do around the production staff and production team. So I think she'll have a lot to talk about on that. I did have something came up. Oh, I was thinking, I think you, Khadijah, are really going to like, I haven't mentioned her yet, but Lauren Fitzgerald. She is stage manager extraordinaire, has worked on some incredible projects. And y'all don't know, man, the stage manager, that's where it's at, because they're the director has the vision, but the stage manager, that's the one that's really getting things into shape. And she goes through every little thing that you'll need between her as stage manager and then Shay Wafer talking about production, creative producing. Those two together, you'll be able to put on your own show and tell people exactly where they need to be, how they need to be doing it. And those two right there, like if you're looking for technical skills and marketable skills, those two will be like tip top if you want to get into the production side of things. I forgot about my girl, and she's so real. Like, y'all, when I tell you she feels like your sister, your cousin, she is a little bit messy, but also you can tell she has so much experience behind her. And messy, and I'm not talking about a mess, but like, we all have I'm about to talk to you like a homegirl, because that's who I am. I've broken out of assimilation, and you're about to get these words exactly how they came out my mouth. And that, like, I saw myself in Lauren, and she doesn't like email much. I send her an email, and almost every single time she calls me, I'm like, you know what? I should have just called you, because I know how you roll. I should have just called you. She was like, girl, I know, but it's just so much easier to talk on the phone. Like, it's nice because through Visionary Academy, I've also built relationships with these people, and they're so, while their accolades and their experience makes them feel so far away, they really are just like me, just like us. And you guys will get that in meeting them, because it was refreshing. It was refreshing to see that people that have made it to that height, right, to that level of success, they didn't have to change who they were. And that spoke to my entire soul, because especially growing up in West Michigan, y'all know it's different. It's different. And I tell people, like, no, you don't really know. There's something very specific about Grand Rapids that just feels like it's stuck in your entire soul outside of you. Like it digs deep and tries to take up your roots and give you new roots that you ain't even want in the first place. Like, it's a different breed of place. And I think all of our presenters can speak to, or will speak to, the importance of honing in on who you are and making sure that you do not compromise on that. And coming from, moving around in Grand Rapids, and the more I get involved in this city, the more I absolutely it's one thing like operating on the surface, but when you get to know how a city works, it's different. And I almost wish I didn't, because I was much happier here before I did. And now that's why I'm so passionate about, no, I'm going to create something that is not of Grand Rapids and that Grand Rapids cannot squash, because it has a way of making you feel like nobody else exists out there like you. And, we brought in people that, no, there are people out here that look just like you, that talk like you, that are a mess like you, that are successful like you, that, it was uncompromised. I was not willing to compromise. So last year when we were creating the program, it was down to the wire on finding our people. And Edie's like, we could, I know this person, they're not Black, but nope, I'm not compromising on it. And that it's because I knew how important it was going to be. I felt it in my soul, how important it was going to be for us to be able to see our faces represented in places that we, being from, small, mid-size, that we see as big, right? Somebody out in LA making moves, somebody out down in Atlanta making moves, somebody that's worked and, lived in New York and made success in, these things that we see so far away. I knew how important it was going to be that these people look like us. And I'm glad I did. And they were super excited to come back for a second year. So, I don't know how I got on that, but I'm glad whatever thought took me there. So, but we can keep going. You can tell, like, y'all will notice there are a few things that I'm passionate about. And they do show up. They show up like, yes. I'm real animated, but it helps, we got 3 hours together. So if I was just dry, yikes. All right. Anyway, focus. So we are back. Do we have, bring us back in. Do we have any other initial questions about acting through the lens of a director? All right. I think the next one, I might be lying to y'all. Oh, no. I know what I'm doing. What's happening? Sorry. All right. So this one, November 12th, is owning your own creative business. So this is presented by, I just said her name, Ashley Walden Davis, who is a serial entrepreneur. And not even like, she's creating big ass businesses. And I say that her resume, she sent me a whole page bio. I'm like, girl, I got to put this on social media. I can't use your whole page. I do appreciate all of these awards and everything that you've done, but I'm gonna have to pare it down a little bit. Because she has worked with some incredible people. She has been recognized by, just all over the place. She's created businesses and organizations. So she operates in both for-profit and nonprofit world, and speaks to, like, she's gonna break it down starting your own creative business. If you are interested in legitimizing a business, if you have an idea that, you know what, based off of what I do and how long I've been doing, I need to turn this shit into a business, she's the person that can help. So please, please, please keep your eyes and ears open for that session, because it's a little bit information overload. I will say that. But this was the session that our director, so Amisha Gross, she was like, wow, I never looked at myself as a business, and I've been shortchanging myself for years. You know, and we'll talk, she talks all about contracts and, you know, government, like just anything and everything. And that's when I went and got my LLC for my natural hair business, because I was like, listen, she just made it make so much sense. And the benefits of, you know, operating as a business as opposed to an individual. I'm surprised that she is willing to do this for how much she agreed to do it for, because the information was invaluable. I will say that 100%. One of her businesses is actually teaching people how to own their own creative businesses. So it was, you know, and how connected she is. So Ashley Walden Davis is the person that connected us to all of these other people. She can really speak to networking and how important networking is to just your success as an individual, as a owner operator, as a creative. She has the largest network I've ever known a human to have. And all the people that I contacted after or through her, they're like, Ashley gave my name. Huh. I didn't even know she knew me like that. Like it was, I think she's worked, if I'm not mistaken, she's worked with all of our other presenters. If not directly, indirectly, she's powerful. So I don't, you know, if you have any questions up front, this is another one that is highly informational. She was playing jazz in the background. Like she knows how to give a presentation, that, yeah, it was so professional and so well put together. You'll probably get almost all of your questions answered. Definitely pay attention to any gaps. She also makes space for you to ask questions throughout her presentation, because it's information heavy and she knows that. So what are we thinking up front?
I think I want to know how to start like talking about myself, like I take myself seriously.
I'm trying to think of a way to ask that question.
I don't know.
Let's I think I might have an expanded version. Can you tell me what it sounds like? Give me a second.
Okay.
See, my question was similar to that, and it was like how to market yourself. But I felt like that was the same question. Like for me, that would have been the same question that I asked of how do you set your value worth?
Oh, it's
similar, but they go together.
I think value and worth kind of feed into that question, because so what came to me is curating the presentation of me. Because what all does that involve? What, you know, I do, I understand, and I think the curation part is really important, and value is a piece of the curation. But how do we talk about the specifics? How do we, even something down as down to bio and resume, and I think that's a really good question, and I think forming it in the way of curation sort of gives us a more broad take to that question.
Because I am a gallery for sure.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I love that.
I mean, I didn't even tell y'all that, the reason that my profile carries that C is because I work for a whole ass tech company,
Write that down. You are a gallery. That's your tag. That's a tag for you. I like that. I'm a gallery. Period.
I love that.
Period.
I'm thinking I'm a superstore. Like, you come over here and you gonna find what you need. There's no question about it. Yeah, that's your homework. Go figure out what that tag is, because we all have one. I love it. Love it. And I think being able to really curate and articulate that who we are is a part. I think that's at the base of everything that it is that we're going to be doing. Very good question, Jocelyn. Anything else?
I love
Owning
it.
your own creative business.
I just wanted to know, and she probably will from what you've been saying, these few topics, I wanted to know if she was going to be able to touch on the elevator pitch, differences between LLC, S Corp, etc. You know what I mean?
So I won't add that question, because that is one of her when she starts to go into the business, she breaks them down.
Perfect.
Let me tell you, she is breaking it down like it may as well be 99 2000, okay? Because I said, Lord have mercy, and she really breaks down like how to select,
okay,
which makes the most sense for your business.
Okay. What about funding sources and target audiences? Because when you go in front of a bank and you're coming in as a person of color, they're looking at you cross-eyed already before you even open your mouth.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. She doesn't get so much into target audiences, but funding is a huge part of it, especially going down the route of nonprofit funding. Yes. She goes through that. Edie and I have a whole bunch of information about that too. Funding. So I'm going to go off on a little tangent here. This information is a big part of what your final projects will include. Think of us as funders. So when we're going through owning your own creative business, and she's talking about what funders and gaining funding, and she's talking about that, think about how you can incorporate those aspects into your pitch. Because do we need all of those specifics? Not really. However, we want to know that you have those skills. Does that make sense? So that is something that you guys will really want to hone in on, to pay attention to, because budgeting, also creative producing by Shay Wafer, we'll talk about that. She talks a lot about budgeting too, because budget is the first step, right? Don't come to me with no budget. How can I tell you how much I can give you if you don't have a budget together? That also lets me know that what are you going to do with the money once I give it to you? So those two go hand in hand, and you want, especially when you're talking about pitches, and we could be first level pitch, but you can continue to pitch that project to get more and more funding. There are lots of local organizations that are looking to fund projects, and stuff like that. So feel free to to really pinpoint those areas that you can incorporate into your own project.
Perfect. Thank you.
Absolutely. But I am going to put in, I am going to ask determining your, excuse me, I can't spell. Determining your target audience. It's way trickier than you would think. But I will say with determining your target audience, and this goes into final projects too, create the project for the audience that it's supposed to go to. Once you know the audience, because whoever is supposed to come after that will come and they will enjoy it. As long, you know, people go wrong in trying to tailor it to every audience.
Yeah.
Nah, everything ain't for everybody. However, everybody should be able to enjoy it. You know, that everybody gets you to a point of making the message digestible. And as long as it's digestible, anybody is invited. However, tailoring it to the people that it's meant for, because I will tell you, that's one of the trickiest parts in Ebony Road Players. Our audience, we create for Black people. Guess who come to our shows? It's not Black people. And they come because they want to learn. That's great. And I'm glad you enjoy it. I also want you to know that these stories that we tell are for our people, you know, and so it's that hand in hand. You create it for who you create it for, and whoever comes to it, they will get what they're supposed to out of it.
Got it.
All right. We are getting a little bit low on time, so I'm going to move us forward unless anybody has any final questions about, where were we? Owning your own creative business. Okay. Next. Why? I went to the wrong calendar. Next is going to be the 19th, Creative Producing with Shay Wafer. So Shay Wafer is, I believe she was where Ashley Walden Davis started, or, you know, early in her career. They formed or she was working under her or something like that. But so Shay Wafer is OG. Okay. She's been doing this, and she's done it with some of the most incredible people. Like her, the way she could just name drop, I was like, and it was just regular. Oh, okay. That's cute. And she's so unsuspecting. She just looked like just regular Black lady, but she has worked with some incredible names. You know, working at the August Wilson Center for Creative Arts or something. Just like, exactly, like, just, damn, this woman is powerful. And she'll go through what the responsibility of a producer is. So those of you who are looking at creating a show, okay, you can write the show, you can cast the show. What else? What is the producer responsible for? Are you ready for your head to spin? Because the producer is responsible for it all. Ebony Road Players, we are the producer on all of our shows. We don't have shows that we own. We produce shows. As the producer, we are responsible for hiring, you know, all of the crew, finding the crew. The director does the actors, but we have to get the director. We have to budget the show. We have to get the funding for the show. We have to find, because we don't have our own space, we have to find where the show is going to be. We also have to find where our actors are going to rehearse. We are, you know, all of those things. And it's really good for anyone who is either interested in the production side, because she'll also break down the different roles of who the producer works with. She breaks down the roles. She also breaks down what, the hard conversations that the producer has to have, because at the end of the day, I got to make money. And if my director wants to spend $20,000 and I know I'm only bringing in $8,000, slow your roll. We got to roll that back a little bit. So hers was very eye-opening, because a lot of it, like things that as a small theater company, we've never worked with. We've never had an artistic director. We don't have money for an artistic director. And I learned in that, we sort of collaborate to create the role of an artistic director. And, being able to identify, I could see myself doing that job based off of my interests. I saw it in the chat, costume, set design, and all of those things. And guess what? At the base of it all, you got to have a budget. And so she's going to really dig deep into budgeting and staffing, I guess, a full show. And also the ugly side of it, telling people no. And if it fails, guess what? It only falls on you as the producer. So good, bad, and ugly, or good, bad, and otherwise, what you want to know about being a producer is going to be covered in that session. Any other questions pop up that I haven't touched on already? If I'm not mistaken, she will have us do an activity where we take a show and apply it to these different principles, or at least that's what was done last year. So some of the presenters will have activities for us. Some of us will have video, or some of them will have videos. I gave them complete control over how the content was presented. So it's going to be a nice variety of things, but I believe Shay has an activity for us. All right, and then the last, if I'm not, let me go back. Why? Give me a second. I don't know why I closed out of that. Oh, so that the week of the 26th, we don't have a session for the Thanksgiving holiday. And we will be back with our final presenter-led session on December 3rd with my homegirl, Lauren Fitzgerald. And she will be going over stage and production management. Mostly stage management. However, there are some differences between stage management and production management that she'll touch on. She also is another one, serial entrepreneur. She has businesses and also has worked with some incredible people on some incredible projects. And where she's in, ooh, she real country. Where is she? Atlanta, North Carolina, one of those. But I love it. Her little country accent is so cute. But so Lauren will be going over the ins and outs of stage management. And she'll show you, her presentation had images of what her stage management notebook looks like. Blows my mind. Like, just the amount of control. It's kind of like the president, like the president's office. Yeah, the president looks cool. So the director, they look cool. They out in front. However, that stage manager is like chief of staff on Scandal. That's really what it is. It's like, director's cool and all, but the stage manager, they're about to tell you everything. And you know, she walks through all of the things that make a really good stage manager and how to manage that position and keep things straight. She's really, really good at that, has worked on some huge shows. You'll hear her pedigree, which it blows my mind. Blows my mind. Can y'all tell, like, I believe in our presenters? Because I just, in meeting them, I was like, wow, you know, and I don't know, creating a program in Grand Rapids to be able to bring these types of names in and give you access to this level of you know, successful people. It feels good. It feels good to get you out in front of these people who have made a life off this shit. Like, excuse my language, is being recorded, but you get what I'm saying. Don't tell Edie. But it really, like, I'm very passionate about it. And there's some really incredible people. So off the top of your heads, any questions about stage management?
I have a question. I guess it's more of like the production management side, or I'm not really sure where it may fit in, but
Okay.
like the types of projects that I've been a part of and that I would want to do require like rights to music to like, and I just don't know what that process would look like. So if I go on Spotify and I'm like, hey, I really want to use this song in my show, it's like, how do I do that without, you know, getting myself in trouble?
And are you know what? I'm gonna have the question just be about rights,
Okay.
because that includes music and the actual plays themselves too.
Okay.
So that's because we are producers and we don't own any of the shows that we do, we have to submit for rights every single time.
Yeah.
In most cases, they will talk about, or wherever you go to find the content, it will tell you how to get rights. But if you're looking at streaming services, it doesn't. So you have to do a little more digging than that. And I think a little discussion around rights in general will give you some more direction on that.
Okay, cool. Thanks.
Anything else? Okay. All right. So, like I said, I'm going to create this and make it a document that you guys will have edit. You guys will have access to edit. All I ask is that you don't delete any questions, because I will use these for reporting in the end. But if you think of any other questions, feel free to drop them in there. Put your I'm gonna just create. I do want once I get it created and you guys get the link, I do want you go in to claim your questions, so that you know which ones to ask in the sessions. Also, if you want to jot down next to the question, if you have a specific person or session that you want to ask it in, feel free to do that. So I will get this created. I might create it as a spreadsheet over just a regular Word doc. We'll see what makes most sense. Just don't delete anything. That's the only thing that I ask, because my memory ain't that good. It's all right, but it ain't that good. But feel free to drop into this document, ask additional questions. The only must is that you go in and claim your questions if you want to ask them in the sessions. If you do not want to ask them, if you would like for me to ask them, leave them unclaimed. Okay. I do not mind either way. But I got a feeling y'all might ask your own questions. That's just a sneaky suspicion. You know, I don't think I have any wallflowers in here. So, I mean, I might. I don't believe so. So the final session, December 10th, 10 to 1. I want to go back to what I talked about in the beginning. That session will be you guys pitching your final projects to Ebony Road players. And hopefully we will have a full room of folk from our board members. We might even invite back, we might even invite back some of our presenters just to listen in. And from there, we get to select how many of your projects that we can fund and fund it by how much. So please take some time today to, brainstorm some ideas and follow those, take those ideas with you through the sessions and apply the knowledge that you receive back to your projects. And by the end of it, I do believe that everyone should be able to create a pretty well thought out project. Now, mind you, it may not be a project that you can do all up front. We are asking that the projects are completed within a year. However, if it needs to be a first stage of a project that we can help you with, like I said, that is okay too. Because I know, Sierra, if you want to create a whole aerial show, that might take some time. But if we can help out in, stage 1 of creating this looks like this, it's possible. So I don't want you guys to think that if your project is too big, that you shouldn't pitch it. Just pitch it in a way that gives us the ability to see that it can happen, see that, you have a plan for the future. Does that make sense? All right. And like I said, this is recorded. I will send it out to, who was late in here? So yeah, I'll send it out to you guys for, Chris and Jocelyn, I'll send it out to you guys for you to catch the beginning, because there's a lot of content in the beginning about the program itself. You'll meet Edie and, all of that good stuff. Next week, we are back at 10 again on Saturday. I'm hoping to be on somebody beach somewhere. That might not happen, but we will be in this thing with, my favorite, Bruce. I feel so bad. He's out in LA, which means that at least I think he's still out in LA, unless he moved to New York. I don't remember, but last year he was in LA. So he was joining us at 7 o'clock in the morning. Shout out to Bruce for, believing in what we do so much that he was on a call at 7 o'clock in the AM. But yeah, so feel free to, contact me if you guys have any other questions, or if you want to have conversations about your ideas for projects now. We can talk about those throughout the 8 weeks too. So just let me know. I am going to be a resource just like our presenters, and I have my schedule is very flexible, so if you need some time to meet, just let me know. And I will open it up to the group if you have any final questions, thoughts, concerns.
Will we be doing intros every week as well? We're talking about ourselves.
So possibly, it really depends. I know that that the presenters want to know who you are. How much they ask of you is up to them. So at minimum, you'll be saying your name. At maximum, you might be talking about your full experience. You know, I know that they all ask for different levels of information about you. And a lot of them too will try and attach a portion of their message to what it is that you say you want to do. I don't know if those words came together, but I do know that happened quite a few times. Is, you know, Jocelyn said that she wanted to do this. Well, this is where either my experience with that, or this is how you would, you know, apply this. Very good question, but thank you. Anything else, guys? I feel like I talked your ear off. I know that there's a lot of information coming at you really fast. If anything comes up during the week that you have a question about, not parking lot related or parking lot related, feel free to let me know. Oh, I do want to touch back on getting, for those of you who have not done it so far or already, get me your headshots and bios. They don't have to be long, but I plan on creating a short video to present you guys to our online community.
I do have a question related to that.
Sure.
For the folks who will be, oh, I'm looking at it now. Yeah, they're on Instagram. Okay. I was just gonna ask for the people who are gonna be presenting if we can find a way to plug into them, and it looks like their bios and everything are already posted. So
yeah, and some of them may or may not. I know I didn't tag them because cross tagging Instagram, Facebook, it's so much work. And then some of them only use Instagram, some of them only use Facebook. I'm like, y'all are doing a lot. However, you can Google all of these people and find bios for them that way too, or more information with them. They will be giving their personal contact information, well, at least emails as well. Yeah. Most of them have their own websites with their faces all over. These are like, I didn't know how big these people were until they started sending me their information. I'm like, that's pretty special. It'd be lovely if we could fly them all in, but one day. All right. I do feel obligated to say again that all of this is made possible by our incredible support from the Weggy Foundation. I know that sounds like a plug. However, Weggy Foundation is one of our earliest supporters, and they are consistently investing in the creative arts community and in Ebony Road Players. So I'll say their name until I'm blue in the face. All right, well, I will let you guys go with 6 minutes to spare on a Saturday morning. Enjoy the rest of your weekends, and I will see you again at 10 o'clock next Saturday.
Thank you. This was awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
of course. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Guys, enjoy your weekend.